One of the most surreal and macabre episodes in papal history is undoubtedly the Cadaver Synod, Synodus Horrenda, of 897, during which the corpse of Pope Formosus, who had been dead for nearly 9 months, was exhumed, dressed in papal robes, and placed on trial. Before we delve in deeper, please take 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on similar videos. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Back to our discussion. This bizarre event took place in the Lateran Basilica under the orders of Pope Stephen VI, Formosus's successor, and stands as one of the most infamous examples of political vengeance within the medieval Catholic Church. The life of Pope Formosus. Pope Formosus was no stranger to controversy during his lifetime. Born around 816 in the Papal States, Formosus rose through the ranks of the Church to become the Bishop of Porto, a key position in the Roman Church. His diplomatic skills were well recognized, and he was often sent on important missions to distant lands, including Bulgaria and France. In 866, he successfully persuaded King Charles the Bald of West Francia to intervene in Italy's political affairs. However, Formosus's involvement in European politics was a double-edged sword, and it ultimately sowed the seeds of his downfall. In 876, Formosus fled Rome under suspicion of having ambitions for the papacy, an accusation that led to his excommunication by Pope John VIII. John VIII claimed Formosus had abandoned his diocese and conspired with non-Roman rulers to seize power. Formosus was eventually reconciled with the Church, but his career remained mired in political intrigue, papal politics, and the rise of Formosus. In 891, after years of navigating the political maelstrom of Italy, Formosus was elected pope. His papacy coincided with a particularly volatile time for the Italian peninsula, marked by the declining power of the Carolingian Empire and the rise of local rulers who vied for control. Formosus' most pressing concern was the threat posed by Guy III of Spoleto, the Holy Roman Emperor, who sought to dominate Italy. To counter Guy's influence, Formosus invited the German king, Arnulf of Carinthia, to invade Italy and restore order. This political maneuver earned Formosus enemies among the Italian nobility and within the church itself. His decision to call upon foreign forces to resolve Italian disputes was deeply unpopular with many local factions, especially those aligned with the Spoletan dynasty. Formosus's papacy ended abruptly with his death on April 4, 896, but his troubles were far from over. Within months of his passing, his successor, Stephen VI, would launch an extraordinary vendetta against him, the Cadaver Synod, a posthumous trial. Pope Stephen VI had close ties to the Spoletan faction, which had been Formosus' primary adversary. Upon assuming the papacy, Stephen sought to settle old scores. In January 897, Stephen ordered Formosus' corpse to be exhumed from its tomb. The decaying body of the late pope was dressed in full papal regalia and placed on a throne in the Lateran Basilica to face a mock trial. The charges leveled against Formosus were rooted in canon law, but the trial was purely political. Stephen accused his predecessor of having violated church rules by transferring from the bishopric of Porto to the papacy, a move that was technically forbidden at the time. Stephen also revived old accusations related to Formosus's earlier excommunication by Pope John VIII, despite the fact that he had been formally reconciled with the Church. These charges were a means of retroactively discrediting everything Formosus had done as pope, including his ordinations and decisions, which Stephen's faction wanted to invalidate. A deacon was appointed to speak on behalf of the corpse, but the trial was nothing more than a grotesque display of Stephen's determination to obliterate Formosus's legacy. Throughout the proceedings, Pope Stephen VI, acting as both judge and prosecutor, delivered a scathing condemnation of the deceased pontiff. The farcical nature of the trial was underscored by the grotesque sight of a decomposing body dressed in sacred vestments, being judged by living men. Verdict and punishment. Unsurprisingly, Formosus was found guilty. The synod declared that all his acts as pope were null and void. His body was stripped of its papal vestments, and 3 fingers from his right hand, the fingers used for blessings, were cut off as a symbolic gesture of degradation. As if the trial had not been humiliating enough, the synod ordered that Formosus's body be thrown into a common grave. The desecration did not end there. Soon after the burial, Formosus's body was again exhumed, this time by enraged mobs, and it was thrown into the Tiber River. According to legend, a monk later retrieved the corpse, and it was secretly reburied.